So in the previous video, I talked about public versus private. And if we have private variables, we need a way to access them outside of this class. So we write two sets of methods. They're called getters and setters. Technically, they're called accessors and mutators, but no one in the computer science industry calls them that. They call them getters and setters, and actually use the word get for the getters. And as you'll see when I scroll down, they use the word set for the setters. Now, one thing that's new here is that our methods can return values. We've experienced this once before in our toString methods. Our toStrings return a string. But here, I want to get the patties, so I want to get that variable. And well, what type of variable is that? That's an int. So I want to return an int here. And all I use is my return keyword and return patties. And I did one for each of the four different methods here. So I can get the patties, I can get my type, I can get the cheese, which was a type Boolean. And notice the type was type string, and then my price is type double here. So I've used four different variable types, and it's important that the keyword in the method heading matches what's getting returned here. So if I were to put int here and try to compile it, it gives me an error because it's like, hey, price is not an int. Price is a double. We set it up here. See? Price is a double. So what I would want to make sure that I'm doing is matching the type of variable. Price is a double, so I want to return a double here. Now I compile this without problems. Now setters let us set the variables, and in order to run my driver I need a setter. So here I have set patties, and not only can methods return a value, they can also take in values, and that's what I've done in here. I've sent it an int. I've sent my method set patties an int, and I just called it number of patties in this case. Then I set patties equal to number of patties. Well, what is this variable? If I scroll up here, it's one of my private variables for my burger. So my burger needs to know how many patties there are. So is it a double-double? Is it a 3x3? Is it a 10x10? What is it? I need to know the number of patties. So I send it into this method here. I give it the number of patties. And let's see how that works here. If I'm in my burger driver and I send it a 3, well, this 3 goes into this variable, number of patties. And then instead of using the variable for the rest of the method, it uses that number of 3. So here I set patties equal to 3. Basically, that's what that's saying. So 3 comes into this method and gets used inside of this method. And then after I set the patties to 3, I can get it. And if I were to compile this and run it for you, it's going to print out 3 because that's how many patties there were. But what if I put -2, something like that? If you were to go and order -2 burgers, could you do it? Well, I've set up something called encapsulation. It doesn't let me serve a -2 burgers. It says 0 instead. And I've actually done that in the method here. I put limits on my variable. I'm like, hey, you can't order negative number patties. That's not possible. That's like me bringing patties to In-N-Out and them paying money for it. That just doesn't happen, right? And In-N-Out has a limit. I'm not sure what it is, but we'll just say it's 20. So I can't have anything over 20. Matter of fact, if I put 25 here and try to run it, it's just going to return 20. It says, nope, 20 is the max. It'd be like the guy at the counter telling you, oh, hey, you can't order that many. Here's the max. You can get a 20 by 20. And so we've kind of protected our data. This is called encapsulation. It's protecting our data from numbers outside of where they should be. There. Okay. I'm going to scroll down here and show that I've got a different method that's based on other variables in this class. So I've got a set price method, and we kind of went over this in class on how this works here. But in order for a price to be set, I have to run it first, right? So if I just, over here in my driver, if I just get price, if I compile and run that, I've set it to 25 patties, which is actually going to go to 20, and it's going to print out a price. And let's see what it is. Well, it says 0.0. Well, oh great, I get a free burger if I order 20. What I haven't done here, I haven't run this set price method, so I've never set the price equal to anything. So I'm just going to come in here and say set price. And I'm forgetting something. I forgot to put B1 in front of it because I have to go to my burger and set its price. Now, if I compile and run it, it costs $18.85 for a 20 by 20. And now this should work for anything. Now if I say, oh, I want a 5 by 5 and compile it and run it, and then it's $5.35 is what 5 by 5 costs. So that's working. And I'm going to show you kind of one more here. One more thing. I'm going to change my set price method. And I'm going to have it take in some values here. I'm going to have it take in int number of patties. I'm going to have it take in two things. I could put a comma here and have it take in a Boolean. I'm going to say has cheese. So I've got a different set price method that takes in these two values, and now I want to be able to use them. Well, if it has cheese, then my formula here is going to work here. If it has cheese, then my formula is going to work. It's going to be based on the patties here. Then it's going to work. But I never set my patties, and I've got this other variable number of patties. So what I can do on the first line say is patties equals number of patties there. So here I'm setting patties as the number that comes in, and then I'm calculating the price based on the number of patties. And I'm not sure what the price was for if it didn't have a cheese. So if it has cheese, this was definitely the price. Otherwise, we're gonna say, I think it was 25 cents less for cheese. So if I subtract 25, I should have 65 cents there. If I subtract 25 off of that, I should have 50 cents there. And I believe this is going to work for me. If I go ahead and compile, look, it didn't give me an error, even though I have two methods called set price. It didn't give me an error because they're different. One takes in two different variables, and the other one takes in nothing. So I'm going to finally work that out over here. If I reset everything in one step, I'm going to say v1.set price here. And what if I have a 10 burgers and true here. True means it has cheese, yes. 10 by 10 and their cheese. And then I'm going to print it out again. I go ahead and compile it. It doesn't compile, it compiles with no errors, and if I run it, I'm going to get two different prices here. So the 10 by 10 that I sent in is $9.85, and 5 by 5 is just $5.35. Now, what if I put false here? Does that still work? If I put false here, let's see what the difference in price is. This is a 5 by 5 cheeseburger, and how much does a 5 meat cost? Here, let's see. If I run it, it looks like it's $1.25 less if you don't want the cheese on there. Now, this method that I created has some problems because I didn't encapsulate my data. When I set the price up here, I encapsulated my data, but I forgot to do it down here, and that could cause problems. So I could come in here and I could order -2 burgers and run it, right? But look, hey, if I go into In-N-Out and order this, they're going to give me 45 cents back. That would be pretty awesome, right? Obviously, things don't work like that. So whenever you are setting the values in a different method, just make sure you encapsulate. So I'm going to just copy my encapsulation and paste it into this method here so that kind of everything now is encapsulated. And if I tried to run this, if I tried to run this now, I'm not going to owe In-N-Out anything. As a matter of fact, I mean, they don't owe me the -45 cents or whatever it says. I now owe them 85 cents because I have a burger with no meat or cheese. And actually what I'm getting is just bread and lettuce, tomato, onion, right? And even on this one, there was no cheese. So I'm not even getting a grilled cheese sandwich. I'm getting just 85 cents worth of a non-cheeseburger, which doesn't sound appetizing to me. So anyway, that's kind of the end of this lesson. Just in order to access these private variables, you need getters that let you access them, and setters let you change the values. But when you're setting the values, make sure you do some encapsulation, right? Make sure you do some encapsulation. Protect your data. That's it for this lesson.